When an airline decides to refresh the livery on the world's largest passenger jet, the Airbus A380, they're not just buying a few cans of spray paint. They are committing to one of the most complex and expensive maintenance tasks in commercial aviation. Every square inch of paint affects branding, weight, fuel burn, and even long-term structural protection. And when you're dealing with the biggest passenger aircraft ever built, nothing about that process is small. So in this video, we take a look at what it really costs to paint the world's largest commercial aircraft, why the bill can reach $500,000, and why, despite the price, airlines still see it as money well spent. While painting a standard narrow-body like a Boeing 737 might cost around $50,000, repainting an Airbus A380 typically ranges between $200,000 and $300,000 for a full-scale livery refresh. That figure reflects the sheer size of the Super Jumbo and the specialised labour involved. For complex one-off designs such as Emirates' Expo 2020 or Year of the 50 liveries, costs can climb well beyond that. The A380's enormous surface area, roughly 3,500 square metres, requires between 175 and 250 gallons of specialised aerospace-grade paint. Before any new coat is applied, technicians must strip away the old layers using hundreds of gallons of chemical solvents, then carefully prepare the surface with primer and base coats. The entire process typically takes between 10 and 15 days of climate-controlled hangar time and demands 1,000 to 1,500 man-hours from a specialised crew. That hangar time is critical and expensive. The A380 stands 79 feet tall with a wingspan of 261 feet, meaning only a limited number of facilities worldwide can accommodate it. Airlines often ferry aircraft thousands of miles to dedicated paint shops. Lufthansa, for example, has flown its A380s to Ireland for heavy maintenance and painting. Every day the aircraft sits in a hangar is a day it's not generating revenue on long-haul routes, making the opportunity cost just as significant as the paint itself. The weight of the dried paint adds another factor. Once applied, the pigment contributes approximately 1,100 kilograms, or about 2,425 pounds, to the aircraft's empty weight. That added mass creates a permanent fuel penalty that airlines must account for over the jet's lifetime. At the same time, neglecting to repaint is not an option. Paint degrades after 7 to 10 years due to ultraviolet exposure and extreme temperature swings at cruising altitude. If left untreated, surface deterioration can increase skin friction and eventually lead to corrosion issues that cost millions to repair. This is why repainting has shifted from being a purely cosmetic decision to a strategic one. It protects the aluminium and composite structure beneath and helps preserve long-term performance. On aircraft like the A380, which use composite materials for roughly 22% of their structure, protective paint is essential to prevent UV degradation and moisture ingress. The complexity of the design plays a major role in determining final cost. A standard Euro white scheme, primarily a white fuselage with a coloured tail, is the most cost-effective option. It typically uses around 150 stencils, 2 to 4 colours, and requires a crew of 30 to 35 specialists working for about 12 to 14 days. Costs generally fall between $200,000 and $250,000. By contrast, highly detailed mural liveries can dramatically increase time and expense. All Nippon Airways flying Honu A380 fleet is a perfect example. That sea turtle design required 16 different colours and approximately 930 stencils, compared to the 150 used for a typical airline logo. The painting process took more than 21 days and required over 100 specialists. In cases like this, costs can rise to between $400,000 and $500,000 or even higher. The margin for error on such a large surface is razor thin. Even a slight misalignment in a stencil can ruin the visual effect and require costly rework. If paint is applied with the wrong viscosity, it can create an orange peel texture that increases aerodynamic drag, adding thousands of dollars in extra fuel burn each year. On composite sections, improper application can expose the metallic mesh embedded in the fuselage for lightning strike protection, potentially leading to corrosion and safety concerns. Environmental regulations add another layer of complexity. Traditional chemical paint strippers such as methylene chloride are increasingly restricted due to toxicity. Facilities must now use more expensive biodegradable alternatives or mechanical media blasting techniques, which can extend service time and increase labor costs. Beyond maintenance, the A380 serves as what many analysts call a flying billboard. Its enormous fuselage amplifies branding like no other aircraft. Any imperfection in the paint is magnified across thousands of square meters. For legacy carriers, repainting can signal fleet health and renewed commitment to the aircraft. In early 2026, Lufthansa flew a near-empty A380 to Shannon Island specifically for a centennial livery update. While ferrying a massive quadjet without passengers may appear inefficient, airlines argue that the brand exposure and public interest generated by special liveries outweigh the cost. As the A380 experiences something of a revival, with second-hand airframe values climbing toward $30 million in 2026, airlines are increasingly willing to invest in premium paint jobs. Protecting the airframe while maintaining a striking visual identity supports both operational performance and marketing value. Some have asked whether vinyl wrapping could offer a cheaper alternative. In the automotive world, wraps can be applied quickly and at lower cost. For smaller private aircraft, the savings can be significant. However, scaling that concept to an A380 introduces major challenges. At 40,000 feet, the aircraft's skin experiences temperature swings from 104 degrees Fahrenheit on the tarmac to minus 67 degrees in the air. The fuselage expands and contracts under those extremes. A full-body vinyl wrap could peel at high speed, posing a safety risk to control surfaces or engines. Small decals are common, but a complete wrap on an A380 is not considered viable for long-haul operations. Even aesthetic ideas like polished aluminium are impractical. Unlike older aircraft designs, the A380's composite sections require protective coatings, making a full-body paint application essential for structural integrity. Ultimately, repainting an Airbus A380 is a massive but necessary investment. For a standard refresh, airlines spend between $200,000 and $300,000, covering specialized labor, advanced coatings, nearly 2 weeks of hangar time, and the management of added weight. For intricate murals, the figure can exceed $500,000. Yet the cost of ignoring, whether in corrosion damage, aerodynamic inefficiency, or diminished brand presence, can be far greater. For travelers and aviation enthusiasts, a freshly painted A380 is more than a cosmetic update. It signals an airline's long-term commitment to operating the world's largest passenger jet. Maintenance hubs like Shannon or Dubai have become key locations for these large-scale makeovers, where skilled teams ensure that each aircraft leaves with a flawless, high-gloss finish. Looking ahead, innovations in sustainable and thermal reflective paint technologies may further improve efficiency by reducing heat absorption while aircraft sit on hot tarmac. As the aviation industry balances performance, branding, and environmental responsibility, the A380 remains a striking example of how even something as simple as paint becomes a high-stakes engineering decision when scaled to the largest commercial aircraft ever built. What do you think? Is spending up to $500,000 on an A380 paint job a smart, long-term investment, or simply an expensive branding exercise? Let us know by leaving a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more aviation content. See you next time. In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles and a podcast every week. Visit simpleflying.com.